Anyway, I read something else today about a movie that came out the same year, National Lampoon's Vacation. Christie Brinkley's written a book, and she's out promoting it.
Yeah, it's the memoir.
Well, she's in her early 70s, and she still got it. She has still got it.
You're not allowed to say that in your house anymore, are you?
No, Christie Brinkley's a sore subject still, I believe.
For a couple of reasons.
When
the wine and the fitness machine.
That's right. When my son was, I'll say 12, Christie Brinkley was promoting her new wines on television, and the reporter said, golly, she was probably 64 at the time, the 64-year-old Brinkley. And my son said, what? 64? Mom, you ought to be eating what she's eating. You need to get these
You're
wines.
younger.
Now, my wife, who at that time was in her early 40s, I thought her head was going to explode.
But she had to come back for the ages to her son.
Yes, she said, well, let's see her give birth to a couple of kids and see how she looks. The next line out of the reporter's mouth, Brinkley, the mother of 3, says she's diving in head first to these new wines. She's had more kids than you. And
I will backhand you.
that was the closest she ever came to really hitting him. I mean, really getting at him.
Did you usher him out of the room for his own
I
safety?
said, son,
Yes.
son, please, let's go.
And if I recall, after that incident, only a few short days later,
That's right.
Christie Brinkley showed up at your home in a form.
She did.
On a box
On
containing exercise equipment.
she and Chuck Norris both.
Yep.
With a piece of exercise equipment that sat in our basement for 3 years.
Completely boxed, never unboxed.
Never
Yeah.
unboxed until I traded it to our boss for a Fitbit watch. That was the swap. Now, fast forward 8 years, we have a stationary bike that sits along with 2 mountain bikes in our garage. The stationary bike remains boxed up. She bought it for Black Friday last year and said, I'm doing this, and it remains there. I haven't said a word about it. I continued to negotiate my way past it on the way to the garage door.
Does it have marks in the box where you've hit pickleballs at it? Used it for training.
It does. There's a lot of that. That's right.
Are other boxes on top of it? Or
Yes.
is it sit alone now?
It sits alone, but then when we get into a hurry or something, we'll put other things on top of it.
Yeah.
But eventually,
It's just wallpaper at this point?
and when she bought the stationary bike, I said, go ahead, let's buy it. But, this is yours. I'm not going to use it. It's all up to you.
That was still left over, I believe, from your
Mm-hmm.
you could no longer make any comments about money spent after the Pine Needle incident.
Correct.
You were on Pine Straw probation.
Yeah.
And remain.
3 years.
You're running that. You're getting close, though.
I know. 3-year probation.
Is,
on
this
Pine
fall or summer? I can't remember.
2 years.
This marks 2?
August
Okay.
will be 2 years since the Pine Straw incident. Yes. And because of that, I put myself in financial jail for 3 years. She gets final say on everything we buy.
Man, but we're coming up another year and some change, and you'll be able to finally walk in and say, that bike,
That stationary bike.
that bike's been sitting there for 2.5
Mm-hmm.
years.
Will it still be sitting there is the question. Well, Christie Brinkley now is promoting her memoir. And she says that when they made the movie National Lampoon's Vacation, there is a legendary scene. She's in the pool, and Chevy Chase is ready to jump in the pool with her.
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
It's a great
I
one.
think I say that once a week.
I know. It's a great scene.
It's not the best line from the movie, but I think I quote it the most.
Right? This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Well, are you gonna go for it?
Here?
For starters, sure.
Now, Christie
She's such
Brinkley,
a terrible actress.
awful. But who cared?
I know. Even then I knew because I worshiped that woman.
Oh, God.
But
Gorgeous.
she was a terrible actress.
Gorgeous. They wanted her to do the movie topless, the scene. They wanted her to skinny dip into
Well, it's
the pool.
implied.
It is.
Yeah.
She takes off her top. I watched it this morning 3 times.
Hmm?
And she takes off her top, and she's got on her bra. And she dives into the water, and it's a quick cut into the water. And then it's just her shoulders are above. Well, she was getting a lot of pressure to do it topless, and she had not ever done a topless scene, and she had a squeaky clean image, and she was worried about doing it, but she was just about to say yes because she was getting so much pressure from the producers of the movie. And then
That doesn't sound like the Hollywood I know.
no.
I'm really shocked to hear this.
Apparently, a lot of
Christie, sweetheart.
they were standing on the edge of the pool, and they said,
can't see your tits. Where are your tits? Give me 5 minutes with her. I'll get her top off. Don't you worry. You better make it happen.
the pressure was mounting.
Yeah, you could do this back then.
The pressure was mounting.
5 minutes in the trailer. I'll take care of it.
All right. She
Do you want to work in this town ever again or not?
They wanted her to show her breasts. This is in the book. The last second, as she was ready to disrobe, her co-star, Beverly D'Angelo, who plays Chevy Chase's wife in the movie, stepped in and said, "Girl, you don't need to do that. I'll show my tits." And they wrote
What's going on here?
I mean, I'd love both, but I'll take one.
The supermodel keeps her clothes on.
She did. And Beverly D'Angelo agreed to do another scene in the movie where she's in the shower.
Yeah, there's definitely the shower scene.
That was not in the movie until Beverly D'Angelo saved Christie Brinkley, and Beverly D'Angelo's breasts are on display. So the producer said, "All right, I'll settle for yours, but we have to have tits in this movie." And they got them in, and they shot that scene, and they put it in earlier.
This is kind of a quaint question, but was that movie rated PG?
I think
probably was,
I think it's
right?
R.
Was
I think
it?
That's
Well, I thought it was R.
when you show boobs like that, I think
I don't know.
It was different, though. I mean, maybe PG-13.
I don't think PG-13 existed.
That's right.
I think that's an R
I thought it was an R movie.
because they talk about like masturbation. They make jokes about fellatio. There's a sex scene.
It does say R.
I thought it's pretty raunchy at times.
Yeah.
There are some. I felt like that. Today it might be PG-13, but can you show breasts in a PG-13 or a PG movie?
To me, no, that's changed. I mean, that showing breasts. I mean, I remember watching a movie like Doc Hollywood, and that had boobs in it, and that was PG-13. So I think now you can't show. I mean, you can maybe get away with a side boob and a butt for sure in PG-13, but I don't think you can do full bare breast anymore.
There was I remember Michael J. Fox saying that in the movie The American President, it's PG-13, and they got to use the F word twice, and they had to be.
That's correct.
They had to really choose, and they did. They used it twice, and he gave the examples.
Yeah, I've heard that. You can use it twice.
Yeah, that's right, and no more than twice. And they did. They had to pick the scenes in which they wanted to use them, and they did. It's in that movie twice. There's a story out today too on a woman. This harkens me back. Do you recall the lady who stood in line to vote years ago? This must have been 2020, I would guess.
I think we first heard this woman. Yeah, in election 2020.
She was standing in line in Georgia for a long period of time, and it was warm, and she had taken with her folding chair.
It had to be the primary, right?
I think it was in May or June, and she's voting, and it was important to her to vote, and she said she had taken her jush along.
Y'all need to go on and get y'all jush and get y'all vote on. I'm ready. I'm going to get my damn jush. They could stand out there for 15 hours. I got my chair. They could stand out there for 24 hours. I got my snacks. I ain't going to play with these hoes. I'm going to vote. You go vote too.
That's America, baby.
One of my favorite clips because it spawned one of my favorite Chris Kelly bluffs of all time.
I did not know what a jush was, but when we referenced it on air, I had seen this on television, and as she said, I got my jush. They showed bottled water and snacks, and there was a little fan, one of those fans that you use to
paper fan,
like to fan yourself in church. And I thought, oh,
it's a Jush brand.
That's a Jush. So we come on air, and Kristen says, I don't know what a Jush is. I said, well, I do. It's a fan. It's a holdable fan that goes in one hand. Everybody knows that.
God, idiot.
Well, they went back to the woman and said, what's a Jush? She goes, that's all my stuff. It just means that's your stuff. I got my Jush on.
Y'all need to go on and get y'all jush and get y'all vote on. I'm ready. I'm going to get my damn jush. They could stand out there for 15 hours.
Okay.
Jush.
Get your Jush. I misplayed it.
White people.
I misplayed it.
I don't know what a jush is.
That's on me. I didn't know, but I pretended to know
You
what it.
pretend. That's my favorite part.
That's why my
Yeah.
non-negotiable now.
You're
is-
not a curious person.
No. I just pretend that I know things.
Yeah.
Like when at the same time I said in 2020, bowling alleys are thriving.
In the deepest, darkest days of the lockdowns.
Exact opposite was true.
No one could be near each other, and you were like, well, there's one place that's hot.
Bowling alleys. And you all looked at me and said, I think you've got that wrong. Now, I had read the stat wrong. I thought bowling alleys were up 50%. They were down 50%. The next day, I knew the answer was wrong. I came in, I doubled down. I said, prove it to me. Show me where your bowling
We
alley
can
is.
drive by one.
Show me that. Drive me by one. Okay. I stuck with it. I stuck with Jush. Here's why we bring it up. Yesterday, a woman
Waiting in a hotline.
in High Point, North Carolina, waiting for her real ID at the DMV. Now, I associate with this because we're getting ready to go through that process. I have got my birth certificate, but you have to go to the DMV, and there's a 90-day backlog because they barely have told us that we need this new real ID. It's only been in the news for 16 years. That's as long as. But by golly, in the next week, you have to have a real ID.
Have I asked you this before, Kelly? Forgive me if I have. When does your current license expire?
2 years from now.
Okay.
But I have to have, in order to fly, you have to have the real ID. I'm not planning on flying, so I can wait a bit.
You can fly without a real ID if you have a valid passport.
I don't. We mentioned this the other day.
Which looks like we're taking the old truckster.
Okay. Yeah.
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
You know, half the fun is getting there.
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
On.
I love a road trip.
Me too.
Holiday Road,
Me too.
baby.
Yeah.
Let's go and get this done.
Hit the song.
Okay. That's right. Because otherwise, what's the point? That's what you want to do. That's the fun. Well, some are waiting in line as long as 5 to 7 hours to get their real ID, including this woman in High Point, North Carolina, who fainted, and they had to call an ambulance to help her. And her big concern was not her health.
It's never happened to me due to heat before. I was upset that I was in a situation like this, and then there was that panic that I lost my spot in line.
Yeah, she didn't
Heck
have
yeah,
a
I'm
spot.
with her. That'd be me.
It was her. Listen, she
Roll her up when the line moves.
She said, "Just
roll me forward.
drag me along."
Because if you're in there for 5 hours, you're just stepping over the person.
She had
That's
behind
the
her.
actual fainter.
Yes, that's the fainter. She had been there. This was her third time trying to get the real ID. And she had stood in line for almost 5 hours. And it was unusually hot. I mean, I say unusually. It's probably 84 degrees, something like that. And she passed out. This was about noon yesterday. So her husband got there after the ambulance was called. And she told her husband, take my place in line.
He wanted to take me home from the ambulance, but I just asked him, I'm like, can you just get in line for me and grab my ticket? And luckily he obliged.
She got her real ID.
Ripped off her oxygen.
Save my place.
Bless her heart. Do we know if it paid off?
Yes, she was able to get her real ID.
So on her current her next driver's license photograph will be her
Yes.
2 hours post pass out.
Yeah, she went
in the
back
heat.
in there. The husband held the line until she got back there, and the doctor said, "You need to go home and rest." She goes, "No."
Can you do that? Can you have space holders in line at DMV?
It did work. In her case, the husband stood in line.
I think as long as it's 1 and 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think, but you're right, and this is clearly an unusual circumstance. This was health related. She passed out. But we've seen many, many times where people will pay somebody to stay in line, to stand in line to buy shoes, concert tickets,
right.
what have you.
I guess
Can you
that's
pay somebody to wait in line for you at the DMV?
Probably so.
Yeah,
I would
because
think.
I think it's one, because I'm probably going to do it. I mean,
Someone's
I
already
can't-
explored the options.
Look, I can't stand for 5 hours, so
No.
I
know,
would pay someone. But I
no.
think I wouldn't be mad as long as that person, you trade out.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, you don't slide up and go, "Oh, hey, I'm here too."
No.
You go, "Hey, they're holding the line for me, so don't get mad. It's one person. They're going to slide out of line when they get close. I'm going to slide in."
Yeah.
So where do you envision yourself, Biggie, during this college, high school student waiting in line for you?
Car air conditioning, sitting.
Yeah, or home. Let them call you when there's 10 minutes to go.
Yeah. Hey, man, I think I'm 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll be there.
Got to judge it just right.
Yeah, I think you got to I think you almost have to still wait there.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure people are bringing camp chairs and umbrella and jush, their whole jush setup.
Take your jush.
All of it.
Mm-hmm. There you go. One gentleman witnessed this event. As you can imagine, he was upset.
That passing out, it's too much, but as long as I got my license, I'm all right, man.
All right.
It'll jar you.
She did. She not dead. Okay. Looks like everybody wins.
It's jarred. I mean, you can tell he's been through hell. He's got PTSD over this. He waited in line 5.5 hours for his license, and it was his third time there.
You are kidding me.
No, so I mean, it's apparently taking that long to get this thing.
Well, I did see one of our local news trying to clarify, and I do think there is some confusion still with it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need it to drive.
Right.
They're saying there's a lot of people who are showing up panicked, thinking that, oh, God, I need a new license. And they're like, no.
Your current license is valid until it isn't.
You just can't fly.
Mm-hmm.
You won't be able to fly anywhere without a real ID or a valid passport or a military ID.
Do I have any of those? I do not. So...
I love to drive.
Me too.
Frankly, where am I going?
Exactly.
Nowhere, man.
Yeah, y'all wait your hours out. I'll wait till it's done, and I'll get mine.
Get your Jush. Get on out there. Biggie and I'll be fine. We'll ride together.
We'll start taking calls now from college students looking for summer jobs who want to wait for Biggie. Biggie placeholders.
What'd you do this summer?
You know, we just turned away a couple of interns.
I know, really.
We shouldn't have.
What was your job? I stood in line for large people.
During the hot summer months.
A real ID thing? Oh, yeah. That's great living.